Hello, YouTube. Hello. I'm going to wait for myself. I need to see myself. YouTube. Hello. YouTube, you're not cooperating. I see that I'm live on this screen, but not on my YouTube app. Anybody else out there in YouTube land? Can you see us? Doug?
I'm also checking in. It's not there.
Milwaukee? Well, it's funny because it says we've been live for 10 seconds, but it said that 15 seconds ago and then restarted. So, oh, wait. Okay, there it is. Hello, welcome to Gray Areas for November 4th, 2025, episode 697. For the foreseeable future, I will not have anything like an intro video. It sucks, but it's what I have to do. It does sound like the encoding is dropping frames, so that's a new thing that didn't happen last week. I'll work on it.
Well,
there's always going to be new things. Welcome.
We're choppy as shit on live, so this is fun.
I know, that's what I just said.
Well, I said
it in a more scientific way, Dave. You said it like an idiot. He said it smart.
He is smarter than me. It's true.
Dave, I wouldn't have. I would have said what you said.
Good. I'm glad someone agrees with me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I would have said it the idiot way too, but I knew what nerd language Chris was using.
I didn't. So
Embarrassing. How long have you been doing this show? 697 episodes.
Almost 700 episodes.
Well, even turning down the settings has not helped, which is interesting. It could be the connection's bad. I don't know.
Dave's fault. Somehow.
But do you know how many times I've ran the YouTube channel?
-1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with -1. That's the assumption.
I actually like -1 because I probably messed something up sometime.
that counted against the fact that had you ever run it, it was only be making up for having fucked it up before.
Exactly.
Well, this is an interesting problem.
Well, this would be a good
expecting.
transition into, Chris, the equipment you're using. How did you first decide to use that equipment for recording the show?
It's an excellent segue, and it'll be the second
Won't
week
be
in a
a
row
pod-
of us jumping into a topic before we're actually ready to start it. So the vamping experiment has failed miserably if you just segued right to the main topic
Well,
already.
I vamped into a segue into the topic that is up on top. That we already teased last week anyways, as I randomly was like, Sean, why do you do the things you do?
Yeah, but we got to vamp for a little bit.
Yeah,
What's
give
in
me
your
that.
salad,
Really,
Sean?
it's all material, so like it doesn't like we should either
Sean, what's in your delicious
not
salad?
talk about anything
Why have you
or
Why have you chosen that salad? What led you to pick those products?
you're trying.
I'm working really hard right now.
You're working to. Well, Dave always wants to be the attendance police for me. So, because I heard him out. Oh, you have trapeze all the way to 750? No, Dave, but I have to come home. I have to get dinner. I have to walk the dogs. I have to feed the dogs. I have to check in on work. I have my laptop actually here today, so.
I have a better thing to vamp about than you yelling at Dave.
Oh, it's not the Dodgers, is it?
Yes.
God damn it.
It is me,
Oh,
dude,
Cody,
having
before you
won
do that,
another
Cody,
championship.
I didn't realize that the Dodgers just bought their championship.
They didn't buy
and
that
that
shit.
makes
They didn't buy
me
shit.
hate
They didn't buy
them
shit.
and
They
you.
didn't buy shit. They didn't buy shit. Man, yeah, the Dodgers really paid off the Red Sox to trade Mookie Betts. They really tricked them.
Now,
The Braves chose to fuck Freddie Freeman over and not sign him to allow him to go to the Dodgers.
Who has the highest payroll in baseball?
And the Mets or the Dodgers is one of the two. We can complain about payroll and all that all we want, honestly. You know what my problem is? And I'll vamp about this nonstop. Maybe other owners should want to fucking win with their billions of dollars they have. Maybe they should spend the money that they make.
When Mookie Betts went to the Dodgers, wasn't he like he could have been had by other teams?
He was available for a trade. The dumbass Red Sox dicked him around, didn't want to sign him to an extension. The Dodgers were like, we'll sign you to an extension of lots of money. Get traded here. And then the Red Sox didn't take very much in that trade because they're bad at things. That's again, we're going to probably have a labor strike, lockout, whatever is going to happen here in the next year when the collective bargaining agreement ends for baseball. And it's going to basically be pushing to try and have a salary cap of some sort, which I don't really know how you do retroactively when everyone's spent a bunch of money. Again, the Dodgers, the Mets, a lot of teams.
You can do what they did in basketball and have aprons.
And the Dodgers
Won't that be fun?
Well, they do have a luxury.
They already
tax.
do have a version of that in baseball. The Dodgers do have to pay a penalty for having whatever amount of money in this version of the. It's not as punishing as basketball is, but it exists.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, baseball's desperation to cater to its shitty lower market teams who want to have 10,000 people show up as those guys pocket money, claiming they're losing money, then refusing to ever open their books to prove they're losing money. I mean, all of this is basically predicated on like the A's moving from Oakland to Sacramento to Vegas to wherever they're going. Baseball teams don't not make money, and they have a revenue sharing thing for the lower market teams who are not bestowed with being in LA and having their own television channel and all that. But the whole, like, I get it. The Pirates are never going to spend $300 million. But they could spend more money than they currently spend to try. And the best part of all this is, as we're bitching about all this crap, the Tigers, Detroit's not a small market, not a large market, it's medium or whatever. Their superstar pitcher, who became basically the best pitcher in baseball or one of the best pitchers in baseball this year, is apparently going to be on the market for a trade because they don't want to give him more money. No one's forcing those smaller teams. So the smaller teams want to bitch about the large market teams taking all their players while gleefully handing them over the players to trade them away to get more prospects because they don't want to pay them themselves. I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. I don't actually care that much because
I know I had to ramble about
I
it.
want no, not like no, I don't care about the topic, but like we finally got an expensive owner. I would have loved to enjoy that for 5 years.
And you should have. Again,
after years of a cheap owner, we finally get someone who's willing to spend money, which I don't love, but we finally had it. And then they're like salary cap, a second apron shit, and you're like, well, I mean, I guess that's good. It just, man,
it's bullshit.
Timing. Yeah,
it's bullshit. Again, and that's why I stand by how bullshit the NBA situation is, and how misconstrued the whole situation is with how you want to pay people and all this crap and escalating. Money. It's nonsense. It's two systems mushed into one, then they don't cohesively work together in any way. It's nonsense.
Do you think Memphis? Do you think they should give Memphis, because they're like a small market team, kind of like waiver for Ja Morant, who came in and was the face of their franchise and is just killing them now. He's their one goal, and Zion too, although not to the same extent.
So not quite the amnesty clause, but a version of it in a new way.
These big players come to save the franchise, and then just are an anchor around him, just drag him down.
That's a funny point because I'm looking at that draft. Who was the most valuable person in that draft? Tyler Hero, maybe. I mean, 1 and 2. What's that?
That's where we're at with that draft now.
I mean, Zion Williamson, this is the order it was drafted in. Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, RJ Barrett, DeAndre Hunter, Darius Garland.
Garland
Jarrett
probably
Culver,
then.
Yeah.
Probably. But I mean, second maybe Rui Hachimura maybe was the second most valuable.
He's a starter. I think Hero is more than him.
Yep. Cam Johnson was picked in that one.
I mean, he's okay, but
he's okay. I know. Ty Jerome last season kind of brought him back up. Jordan Poole was in the first round. Keldon Johnson was in the first round. I mean, this is where we are in this draft. Yeah, we're really reaching. It's kind of amazing how not great that draft was after you thought it was so good at the top.
Well, and Zion and Ja are good players, so if you're judging by that, but what they've done for their teams, it's what
they've done for their teams and the image of them nationally.
Yeah, how many games have they played? Especially Zion, but Ja missed a ton of time for
got a crazy guy who wants to shoot people and is kind of unhinged.
It's
and
just
a fat
please
guy
stop with the guns.
Yeah.
And he's like, I will not. I carry it everywhere I go. Okay, we finally got him to stop carrying the gun. I'm gonna do finger guns on the court. Yeah. What is your fucking deal, dude? And he just wants to be the villain, and I don't know. Fine, but
it's crazy because I mean, again, the NFL talks about this, and again, Shedeur Sanders is a good example of it. Of maybe the talent is fully there, and then in the NBA, you're you have to draft the talented guys. There's only so many in each draft. But if you happen to get a high draft pick in a year where either the talent's mediocre or one of the talented players is psycho, you just have to you just draft him and you're going to deal with crap.
Yeah.
Because I guess you could flip your pick, but I don't know if it's lottery protected or whatever. But we watched that NFL draft with Shedeur Sanders, who was talent-wise was not a fourth or fifth round NFL pick by any stretch. I don't care what people say retroactively. It's just revisionist history. I kept thinking he was a mid-2 based off of my own, I watch players play and what I think they can do. But he fell because no one wanted to deal with his bullshit, which his bullshit has continued. in a way
Exactly.
off and on.
Yeah.
But
and it's like
at that point,
sorry.
If you're not that good, if you're not number one overall pick good, why would you want to put up with bullshit? It's the same on the flip side of Tim Tebow. It's the same thing as Tim Tebow. No, they're shutting him out because he's Christian. No, he's not that fucking good, and really the circus that comes with him isn't worth it. So
yeah, I mean, like Jacksonville brought him in when Urban Meyer got hired to be like, do you want to recreate your career as a tight end? And I was like, this is a fucking joke. Urban Meyer's doing his former quarterback a favor. It's why when Tebow was playing minor league baseball in the Mets organization, I was getting pissed. I'm like, this motherfucker's hitting 190 at like 28 years old. He literally doesn't belong in Double A. That's where prospects, like, I don't give a shit if it's only one player taking. It's like, it's one guy in the way of one other guy getting innings at second.
Don't even get started on Brawny then.
Exactly. It's like, it's a great example. I guess at least Brawny's not a dick. From everything I've at least seen so far, he doesn't seem like he's a dick, and doesn't seem like he gets himself into any kind of trouble. He does mostly just keep his head down and tries to play.
To your point, though, like, do we need to stop? By the way, Chris, are we?
No.
Okay.
Go ahead, finish this, and then we'll switch.
So like, Kyler Murray, for example, where is oh God, what's his name? Jordan, the current quarterback for the Cardinals.
Kyler Murray or
Brissett.
Brissett, the now starter as of today.
Yeah,
as of
Dave's good friend benching Kyler Murray
officially today, but it was pretty clear, right?
Yes, it was pretty clear the last 2 weeks. As a person who owns Kyler Murray in fantasy, it was pretty clear.
So, like, what's interesting is he was a number one pick, Kyler Murray. Now, I don't know what Brissett was.
He was a fourth-round pick by the Patriots.
Fourth round, so like
years ago.
It kind of tells you like draft does matter, but like again to that point, like you draft, you get this one pick. It could be who's a really good football. It could be the guy on the Kansas City Chiefs,
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
who was like 11th overall.
So now that I've stopped trying to stream to YouTube, I think the video will be smoother. So if you stuck around for the edited version of that in post, congratulations, you should be able to see us like moving instead of us having 1 frame per second. I think it was actually less than that.
It was less. It was much less than that.
It was fucking terrible, but the audio was fine, so the audio listeners have no idea what's been going on, and that'll continue to be fine. They did a great job of vamping in the end after Cody tried to sabotage. Now we can actually get to the topic he was talking about, which is basically an extension of what happened at the end of the last episode. We were starting to go down this road, but it was already past an hour, and it seemed like we had plenty of legs. So the thought exercise is basically this. It's at the top of the screen, but for the audio listeners, we were talking at the very end of the last episode about what it was that got you to start using a product, what it was that gets you to keep using a product, if there's certain things like quality, or if it's like food like taste, or did you first hear about things from word of mouth or commercials or online reviews or whatever. So wherever we jump in is fine. I think there's going to be plenty to go over here, but I don't have like a layout for it. So
I'm in marketing, right? And I got to say
that is true.
Yep.
Like I don't have anything like in this house. You'd have to convince me. Like I've been trying to think. I thought about this in between episodes. I don't know that I have a single thing in this house that I got from a marketing campaign, from an ad that I saw, other than maybe trailers for movies. And even then I realized I don't think it's the case, because so often I already know the movie that I want to see, and then a trailer comes out and I get excited. I can't think of a trailer that I saw that I was like, oh, now I'll go see that.
I can. There's one that comes to mind right away.
What is it?
The first Knives Out movie. That I like Rian Johnson as a director. I was already intrigued. I had seen some of his other stuff before. And I'm a sucker for like whodunity type movies and all that type of stuff. I've always thought those were funny and interesting. And that project was like kind of referenced that he was working on something. And when that trailer came out, I was like, I already thought I might want to watch that based on who was acting in it and who was directing it and directing and writing it. And I watched the trailer and I'm like, I need to see that movie.
Yeah.
That's the one very recently I can think of that I wasn't like reading about or like that closely, and that just popped up, and I was like, "That is a must-see movie."
I thought of what example, but I feel so right now. I'm eating a salad from Oregano's.
You got Oregano's again and didn't ask. Wow,
it wasn't an Oregano's ad that I know. Sorry, that brought me to this. My ring, I looked it up online. You know what? I thought to maybe check out K's because you hear K's all the time. Maybe that is the one example.
Like for your wedding ring.
But it all goes back to I Google what is a good blank. And then people sent me to K's. I thought, okay, you hear about them all the time. They seem legit. Outfit, I Googled it to see what was good for trapeze. Like these chips, I just ate, and I liked them. What do I have?
So Google marketed to you very well because you use Google a lot.
But I don't trust their paid ads. So yes and no.
You scroll down to 5.
Yeah, I skipped the paid ads actually.
Okay. So what's a product?
Even so, they still affect you in a really, really big way because however SEO works in that sense.
Yeah, but really that's not direct ads, right? So that is.
Correct. But it's not direct ads, but there is still absolutely some aspect of Google's algorithm affecting your marketing choices.
Sure, insofar as kind of, because Google, if you write good content, generally speaking, we're long past the days where you can cheat that shit. You have to write good content, and that's what's going to get you elevated. Although now with AI, it's a whole new thing. A lot of my stuff comes from word of mouth. I don't go to Lululemon fashion blog for what I should buy and them ranking shit. It's like Reddit. What is a great pair of whatever that I use for this specific thing?
Can you think of a product whether it's your toothbrush, toothpaste, whatever, you've stayed consistent with that brand for going back to when you were a kid? Because I use Crest toothpaste. I've always pretty much used Crest toothpaste, and I was thinking about it again between shows and was I don't really know why I use it other than when I was a kid, my mom got me the kids version of Crest, and then when I became an adult, I just started buying Crest as a result. I've switched to other ones based off of I've read that this one is better for my gum health and things like that, and I've ebbed and flowed a little bit, and yet or I've gone to Sam's Club and been what's the 4-pack that I can buy that is the cheapest version of it because toothpaste is toothpaste. But I still almost always end up getting Crest. And it's just because it's what I've used for a long time that was passed on to me from above, I guess.
Do you, Dave?
It always makes
Dave, you have kids, so I feel is there a product that you've liked a lot that you've passed on that they now use that one because you used it and such?
I don't care that much about brand loyalty when it comes to I'm trying to think of things that I am brand loyal to, and it's rare when I am. I tend to avoid store foods. If I think of foods, I tend to avoid some store brand things because in my experience, stuff like the Fry's brand, Kroger brand versus Hidden Valley Ranch. Let's just say ranch, a salad dressing. Those things generally are more watery. They have less quality. So I look for things that are higher quality or that are taste better because it might cost an extra $1, but it's okay, it's kind of worth it at those things. So I think it's more of I have brand avoidance than brand loyalty. So it's hard for me to really figure out what marketing works on me because I'm in the same boat. I'm not going to hear a commercial and be well, I got to go with this one. A lot of times it's all right, what am I getting for the money I'm paying? And sometimes that's word of mouth. Sometimes that's Google reviews. So things like that is a factor in there. It's a lot. It's a multifaceted answer.
But I do wonder how much of that is developed subliminally over time. And
for sure.
What I ask that for is I was thinking back on what commercial jingles do I remember? What songs or what commercials were catchy in general. I remember multiple Budweiser commercials. There's the Frogs. Remember the Frogs? That was from the late 90s or so when we were all kids, but they were still on TV all the time. There's the whole what's up commercials that were really popular for 2 years. There's the infamous Clydesdales. You can think of multiple different Budweiser advertising campaigns. Now, I don't drink, so the advertisements have done jack shit for me. So I'm trying to think back on all right, so maybe a commercial didn't directly influence me. It wasn't oh my God, Budweiser Frogs, I'm going to go buy some Budweiser. But, over time, did that sink into the point where if I was looking at beer on the shelf, I'd be well, Budweiser's a pretty well-known brand. It's out there a lot. Maybe I'll get that. That's a bad example because I wouldn't buy it. But you know what I mean? Does that kind of add up over time in ways we don't realize? I mean, there must be something to it.
I have two that because the commercials were entertaining, I started using the product and I still use it. So, the Old Spice commercials when I was in high school got into the let's just be bizarre as shit. And
the Isaiah Mustafa ones.
And Terry Crews. The Isaiah Mustafa ones. And so, you're you're starting to need deodorant at like 13 or 14 years old. So that commercial hit at the right time for me. So I had used other deodorants, and actually some of them had like irritated my armpits and didn't feel good. So I started getting Old Spice, and specifically the blue clear one or whatever. And I have used it ever since. I rotated through all the different scents and stuff like that. I rotate through them. I actually like Old Spice. I think it feels really good. It doesn't irritate me. I've never had any weird like bumps or rashes as a result of it, which some people had told me they had, and I got that from Degree. And then so the stupid commercial, I was like, I want to be cool and have the funny commercial, because when you're 13, 14, 15, that was like the funniest shit that was on TV, basically. I still use that today. So because they did that marketing, they got me as a customer, and that's just the deodorant I default to. It's gotten more expensive over time, which has made it harder to honestly want to keep getting it. But I know from like a health standpoint, I don't smell when I get sweaty, and it doesn't agitate my armpits. So, kind of like to your point, Dave, I'm not going to go find the cheaper option if that one's working for me.
But that's an interesting thing, because your ads that turn you on Old Spice didn't. There's two types of ads, right? There's the Bud Light ones that Chris brought up.
Mm-hmm.
That don't really speak to anything.
No.
It's just fucking frogs.
Yeah.
Or it's guys saying what. So they're like funny, and they're like, by the way, Bud Light.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Old Spice.
Yeah.
They're not like, get it for. But then I look at one of the more popular viral marketing campaigns that I've seen, which is Poopery.
Okay.
And that was like, we're going to walk you through why this really works, and we're still going to be zany and funny. But like, you're going to come away being like, oh, actually, I might want to get that.
And Raya uses that to this day.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the bathroom spray things we have. We use from Bath and Body Works, but like we also have a bunch of the Poopery ones because they work. They genuinely do fucking work.
So that's an ad where like you got, there's value in it, which I think you would need to do. The other thing, Chris, we bought that Suns gear recently, and I'm assuming you saw something that said, hey, all Suns gear is 50% off or whatever it was until the end of the day.
Once it was an email from the Suns directly, once it was a Reddit post.
Right. So the email then is maybe the one that we'll pay attention to more, because the Reddit actually is more to what I was saying. But so that if I'm looking at an ad and I'm saying kind of to Dave, what Dave said about like the value, like awareness, I don't really need that. It's not going to do a lot for me. But like, if you're going to tell me oregano salads for $5 tonight, I'd be like, oh, wow. That's an ad that actually matters to me.
Because it's offering you a deal, though.
Yeah.
It's not trying to market the product specifically. It's marketing look at how good the value of this deal is, and you might like our... Well, again, the Suns also know you guys are already Suns fans. That's why you're on the email list. Mm-hmm. So they're marketing to a clientele that is going to want their product. So naturally, that advertising is going to work a little bit better, because if you have some money that you can spend right now, why wouldn't you buy things while they're on sale? Again, that's how email marketing works on me plenty. I'm subscribed to however many in my junk email address, and times a year I'll scroll through it really quick, and I just see in the subject line, does it say sale ends today or whatever, and I will go and click on.
Well, we're like,
worth it or not.
Chris and I were like qualified leads in the marketing world. Like our open rate, our engagement's going to be a lot higher than if they sent the same email to. Kind of like cold calling, just like to whoever. The response rate, the click-through rate is going to be a lot lower. So, of course, that makes sense. I just think
that's something you already want. That's the whole difference in that, though, isn't it? So, it's the hook when you don't know you want it yet is the biggest thing. And I always get weirded out with things like car insurance and beer. You mentioned beer already, but like those things that are so in your face that it becomes like second nature to think about it, that when you get your car insurance bill, you're like, oh crap, my rates went up. Maybe I need to look for those others. Oh God, I've seen Flow on TV forever, so I guess I'm going to go look at Progressive. And it's weird how those things work on people, because there might be better options out there, but there might not,
I mean, to be fair, car insurance is a great example. I really do go to the websites that let you check the rate at the coverage you're looking for from multiple companies. I've changed car insurance companies more than any other product I've ever changed. I think I've been insured by like 5 or 6 different companies, because everyone dicks me over. I don't get in crashes, and then you jack my rate up.
Well, you have to.
So I quit every time. Like after a year, I start shopping around again once that rate gets us to a certain number over what it was. Like I remember, okay, I was paying $600 for 6 months, hypothetically. If I see that renewal at $850 for 6 months, I'm done. I'm not going back. I'll go find somebody else. I bet I can. When you come, and they do their little, well, we give you a loyalty thing. I'm like, no, you don't. You're jacking my rate up. I haven't done anything wrong.
Well,
why when I go to Geico is it telling me it's way cheaper for the same coverage?
I'm having that problem with Geico right now. I switched to them about 4 years ago, and in that span, my rates have doubled. I have been in 0 accidents. I have had 0 warnings, 0 citations, no issues whatsoever. Haven't gotten a new car, haven't changed a thing. Nothing about me being a safe driver or an unsafe driver, whatever, has changed one iota, but the rates have been jacked up over time, and yes, inflation has gone up a lot in that span. I would expect some increase, but not doubling in 4 years. So I'm going to have to switch to something else. Is it going to be Progressive? No, I don't really like Flow. Am I going to stay with Geico because I thought Hump Day was the funniest commercial ever? First of all, no, fucking never. But like, just because I remember the caveman and the gecko doesn't mean I'm going to be like, oh, well, Geico's double my rate, but I guess I'll stick with them. So I guess it's just about planting the seeds of like, well, there's an alternative brand, and then when the time comes, then maybe you act on that knowledge, just again, subconsciously or not. I don't know.
It's funny you point that out because I don't like Progressive's commercials. They agitate me, and that's who I have as insurance right now. And I think Flo and Jamie are fucking annoying. And it's mostly just like, I'm aware there's like 5 major insurance companies. So I just went around to those 5 major ones and double checked what the rates were. And Progressive offered me the best rates. So I was like, guess what? I don't intend to have to worry about my car insurance because I don't ever use it. I don't get in crashes. Do you have the 4 basic things I need? Sounds good. Great. We'll have a contract.
But you also didn't look at any other ones but outside of those 4 major ones. So now they're in a battle to make sure that they are front of your mind consistently, which is crazy because there are other car insurance companies out there, or there are other places to get insurance.
I've been with the one really small one before, and I had very bad experience with like their customer service and things like that. So unfortunately, I cave and look at State Farm, Progressive, Allstate, Farmers, Geico. And Geico pissed me off years ago, so I'll actually never go back to them because their customer service treated me like shit and argued with me about canceling and like refused to cancel my policy. And I was like, oh, well, we're going to have some serious problems now. And it's like I've had to rotate around, but like I had smaller ones and they were just like, I can't get anyone on the phone. I actually needed to use it one time and it was really difficult. They're like, oh, just go out through our app. I'm like, well, your app's not having a tow truck get here for the roadside I've been paying for. No. And so I left them because I'm like, once you guys, it's mostly if you don't follow through with the thing I'm asking very politely to do the thing I'm paying for, then I'm going to quit, unfortunately.
And I guess the question is, are we not the wrong market for this? It's not like that. But like, I would say all 4 of us are pretty discerning when it comes to purchases. None of us are really impulse buy people. Like, I'm not saying we never do it, but in general, I think we're all the type who's going to look at some reviews on something before just pulling the trigger out of nowhere. Maybe ask some people we know who's used it before or bought it before. So, like, is this more aimed at the people that are just going to be like, oh, I saw an ad for Progressive, and I don't know, so I'll just get that one.
And it must be because, like, I know Dave is, like, arguing, and I'm like, I understand, like, why it works. I'm just saying for us, it doesn't really, but I know there's a subset where they're going to see a trailer and they're going to be like, I'm going to go see that. And they will never heard of it before, and they don't care what the reviews are. They just go see it. Yeah. That's how anyone saw Morbius, for example.
But like, I'm a sucker as a kid and have fallen for some of those and then haven't shied away from them. Because the other one I was going to mention earlier is, like, I like Coca-Cola over Pepsi. Why? I like polar bears. Guess what they used to advertise when I was a little kid? They put polar bears in all their Christmas commercials. Coca-Cola's stupid branding of like, look at how cozy and Christmassy and wintertimey we are. That worked really well. And then the other catch was McDonald's sold Coca-Cola. So those combination of those 2 things got me to be like, I drink Coca-Cola. If I'm going to drink soda, which I do and don't and have gotten away from again because it's really unhealthy, but Coca-Cola is the brand of soda I would prefer if I'm going to go to the store and buy it or whatever.
I bet you there is a non-zero percentage that you could deduce of like the owners of Coke contributing to like the death of polar bears.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's probably like,
I'm sure that with
maybe even like 10%.
I'm sure it's not good. But then they donate money back to the polar bears, so it's okay.
There you go.
They fixed it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like there's just a couple that I know early on tricked me into using. I think I could probably think of a couple more.
I was not trying to argue with you, Sean, just so you know. Like, in no way was that an argument. That was just pointing things out.
Never.
Because you brought up reviews as a thing. I find it funny. If I find if I'm looking for home repair or something like that, and I Google something like I had to get my roof replaced 6 months ago, and I'm like, God, how am I going to do it? How do you pick something like that? Because you hear advertising on the radio, you hear advertising on the radio and TV and stuff like that, and they pay a shitload for advertising budget, and therefore their prices generally are higher. But a lot of people go with them, they have no other idea. I know my wife looks for reviews on Google all the time. I had a very short story. I had an experience where my water heater broke. I had to get stuff replaced. I had a huge fight with them about what insurance was going to pay and what they were trying to force me to pay. I was able to basically knock off like $4,000 off my bill that they were overcharging me for because I gave them a 5-star review on Google. And I'm like, if they're going to coerce me in giving them a review to get a bunch of money off, why would I trust reviews ever? That's because shit like that happens and they know that it happens. So I don't trust reviews very well at all because I don't know what the ulterior motive is, why that review is being given.
And Amazon stuff, I used to run it through FakeSpot, which very conveniently no longer exists. And then the other alternate version of FakeSpot also went away, where these things were tracking AI generated reviews and stuff like that, because Amazon products are hard to guess. There's weird small companies, and you never know what one you're going to get. And you're just like, there's a dime a dozen of what kind of iPhone charger I could. And so like I used to use FakeSpot to track out and be like, who's clearly getting fake reviews? This place it's got 5-star reviews straight for its 120 reviews. You run it through the thing, it's like, well, 75 of those are fake. And I'm like, oh shit, I don't really want that product. Versus this thing's got 4.7 stars on Amazon on 23,000 reviews. That's why I use Anchor as the phone charger brand I've been using for electronic stuff.
And you know what?
Because they're good. I realized they were good, and everyone else had a good experience.
I also use Anchor, and it's for the same reason. So, like, Dave, like, so for your reviews, like of the roof people, I don't know where that 5-star review where.
That was a different thing. That was a separate thing, for not the roof, but no 5-star review on Google. So like
the Google reviews when you search a company and it shows the reviews on it.
Oh, I say I don't know if I use those, but for Amazon, which I do use, I go with the ones where if it's like 50 reviews and it's like 5 stars, I'm like, I want to find any other alternative. It's just not enough. Sorry, guys.
Yep.
If it's 100,000 reviews and it's 4.5 stars, I'm like, okay, this is probably pretty good.
Yep. I'd rather have a 4.3 with 1,000 reviews than a 5.0 with 10.
Yep.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And that's there's a sweet spot. You don't want it to be too low, obviously. Like 4.1, 4.2 is kind of like the minimum floor for it. But it's just interesting because it's like, you may not be able to trust the reviews, and I'm not really looking at individual reviews for those. It's not like, oh, what did this user have to say about this? Because a lot of those are paid for too, even if they're not AI. Some of those have been sponsored content, and they have to acknowledge it with a little throwaway sentence like, I was sent a version of this product.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know if you can necessarily trust those either, but I figured like in the aggregate, at least there's got to be some comfort in that. And that method hasn't really led me astray too often. It's also tough because sometimes the reasons people will give things bad reviews have nothing to do with the product itself. The shipping sucked. It came damaged because the postman dropped it. And then they give a 1-star review because their product was fucked up. And you're like, well, but that's not the product's fault. They didn't do that. It was part of your experience. But like, as I'm coming to it, I can't expect that to happen to me. So now what do I do with that value?
Or even, Chris, that's a really good point, because there are reviews where it's a bad review, but for things I don't, not like unrelated, like you're saying, but like, let's say it's a TV and it's not good to connect to surround sound. Well, great. I'm not going to be doing that anyway, so I don't care. Yeah. Or it's the opposite, where it's a bad review, but they said a bunch of things I actually really like or I think would resonate with me. So I might check it out anyway. So the content matters.
I'm actually more likely to read bad reviews than the good ones because I want to see what they're bitching about.
Yeah.
That goes for restaurants. That goes like, how did you phrase this thing to complain? What is the actual problem with it? Because if it works, it works. The thing is, I don't ever review anything on Yelp. I use Yelp all the time, and I've left 0 reviews. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm not really helping the cycle of the good review part. And that's what people have told me when I've gone and written about businesses. They're like, you get 1 or 2 bad reviews on Yelp, and it tanks your rating really quickly. And then people don't go to you because the first 1 or 2 were really bad. I'm like, well, that really sucks. Like, maybe I should be going onto Yelp and going to the restaurants I've liked and being like, here's 5, here's 4, and not writing anything, but just adding to the star rating. If people are blindly looking at that, like, which is not what I do, but I think some people actually do that, and then don't go dig and be like, why did someone give it 2 stars? Oh, well, they got denied a table that night, and then the owner's like, yeah, we're really sorry we didn't have a table that night, but when you came in, there was a 45-minute wait, so we didn't deny you. We just said you had to wait, and then you left. And I've seen that so many fucking times.
To your point, if it's like it was super clean, food was hot, yeah, the flavor wasn't great. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna go there.
Exactly.
But if they're like, this is the best tasting food, we did get a hairball in our food,
right.
And I was like, but it was the best you've ever had.
Right. It was great tasting.
I might still go.
I can overlook hairballs.
Yeah, a rat served us, but the food was phenomenal, so fine.
Right.
You mentioned TV, and that's an interesting one because like I tell people I'm like, oh yeah, I bought this thing and I use it. And I buy cheap TVs. I don't buy very nice ones because I just want as big of a TV as possible, even if the picture's not amazing. And like I fluked my own day realizing like Roku makes decent TVs. I had really hated Fire Sticks. I didn't think they worked very well. I went to Roku. I think the Roku interface is way better, and I've had like a lot of happiness with that. So then I bought a TV with that built in. The TV was co-branded with TCL, which is a cheap TV brand. But I've had my TV, and it hasn't gotten shitty, and my mom's gotten one, and I have another friend that bought one. And all of our TVs work perfectly fine, update perfectly fine. And we've had most of these TVs for like 5 or 6 years, and they all work great still. And they were like $250. And so it's like I became the impetus for 2 other people to buy that TV. Yeah. And it's only because Fire Stick sucked so bad that I bought a Roku stick instead. And then was like, well, what if I buy the TV with that installed in it? Like that was the progression of helping, like going to that.
I don't know what it would take for me to buy a high-end, like a branded TV. Like I don't know, Sony TV or whatever.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to think of is Samsung like the best version of TVs now?
I don't know about best, but they're up there. Okay. I have one that's facing right over here.
I have.
Like, I just couldn't remember who the main brand is. Like Vizio isn't a big deal anymore, and LG isn't a big deal anymore.
I have 2 Samsungs at home, and I bought them. I mean, over the past like 15 years. I don't buy TVs frequently, and what I've found when it comes to those things is that generally, like. There's differences that are minor but important in a sense. Like I've noticed, like you mentioned the Roku interface being good. I have never had a good experience with the Roku or Fire Stick interface. It's been interesting that you've mentioned that because I use things like the Samsung interface. I think is really good, and the Apple TV. And that's neither here nor there. That's a separate thing. But the interface matters, and I've had horrible experience with the remote. Honestly enough, on Roku TVs, they're like hard to use or weird to use. So it's preference at that point. And so it's like, what do you want to buy? I don't know. And so word of mouth, like that goes into that. Like how much does word of mouth affect you? Because I think getting it from a friend and getting it from someone that you know is so much more important than a random person that happens to tell you it.
But like video games though, for example, like the biggest, like you could spend millions of dollars on a really cool trailer, and I'm sure they work. I'm sure companies do that and they're very effective, but like when a company sends their games to outlets to review, that's the biggest thing that they can do as far as marketing for me. That's all I care about.
When did that
and that's
start?
Awareness and like actually like purchasing.
What age did that start? Can you
really young.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. So like I was given a first Nintendo when Nintendo wasn't even really on my radar. So I was pretty young. And then I think my friend had a Sega because I wasn't like watching TV a lot.
Okay.
Friend had a Sega, so then I wanted a Sega. I wish he had a Super Nintendo, but he didn't. He had a Sega. And then I went to a friend who had Mario 64, and it was to this day, probably the most life-changing thing I've ever experienced in my whole life.
That is the greatest Christmas present I've ever gotten in my life. It's the one that has always stood out is when I got it in my N64. In 98, whatever year it was, I don't know. I think I got it for Christmas the year. Like almost everyone in my family pitched some money on it to get it for me the year it basically had come out. Because I had a Super Nintendo and I loved my Super Nintendo. And then I don't remember when 64 came out, but I had a friend who had it before 96?
I did. 96?
Yeah, maybe I was 6 years old.
95 maybe?
Like I thought I got the N64 pretty early on. Maybe it wasn't the first year, but because actually now that I think of it, a friend I knew had it and played it, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing ever!" Like I want this so bad. And I, to this day, remember getting my N64 and Mario Kart and being like, because we had played Mario Kart on Super Nintendo as me and my cousins had played it year after year, all the time. When we got together, it was one of the few games we played together. Or this Power Rangers game, if I remember right, was on Super Nintendo. That I think I played a lot. It was a side scroller. And we played those, and then I finally got a Super Nintendo, and it was just like, finally, I had the older version of a Nintendo, and I understood brand enough of like, this is the better version of what you already have. And then I had seen it played, and I had friends that played it, and it's like, I want that so badly. And so like, to this day, again, I think the N64 is probably like, to this day probably genuinely my favorite console, just because of so much of what it means and so much of like the really classic games I can remember being like, oh, I played that and that and that, and I had so much fun playing them, even if they're not the best anymore.
You know, like, in Stan, when he's like, I hope this is what you do to Eminem.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt about the Nintendo 64 when I went to my friend and I saw Mario for the first time. I was like, I was dreaming about it. I couldn't, like, eat. I was, like, so, like, excited. I've never felt that way about anything.
That's how I was about GoldenEye.
Yeah,
which is probably a game I shouldn't have been that excited to play when I was, like, 6-7 years old, whatever I was. But oh my God, when I watched the gameplay of GoldenEye, even just the first, I think I got to play like the first mission in the little missile silo place over and over.
Me too. Over and over.
And I'm just like, oh my God, this game is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you look at it now and you're like, wow, that game really doesn't look very good.
Little janky now.
I'm like, Ocarina of Time, I think actually holds up pretty well and still plays pretty decently. I'm like, wow, GoldenEye has a lot of problems with it, honestly.
Yeah. Dave, your biggest video game advertisement was Chris.
Yeah, I mean, I've told stories before on this show of Chris basically being like, "Hey, here's my N64. You're playing Ocarina of Time." Because I didn't have an N64. I was a PlayStation person from 1990. I got a PlayStation in my birthday, 1997. Why? I had a Super Nintendo up until then, and I was always liked Nintendo.
But why did you have a Super Nintendo?
Because my cousin had a regular Nintendo and I played on it, and it kind of worked through that point where I progressed. Also, I like Sega plenty, but for whatever reason, like I ended up with the Super Nintendo, probably Mario, even though I liked Sega. But I got the PlayStation because they had better sports games than N64 did. And that really was what turned that into getting the PlayStation. Seeing it, I saw Madden 97, I think it was, at different friends' houses on the PlayStation and on the N64. And it was yeah.
So it wasn't the ads. It was like literally your friends had it. You were experiencing it.
It was my own experience.
And that's why we had a Nintendo. I think my family just had one. Like I think my family had just gotten a Super Nintendo, and we had the original Nintendo at some point, and it's like it just carried on of like because that was the first system. And if you go back that far, they just became brand loyal to Nintendo, and then they had a kid and a grandkid. And it's like, well, we should just get you the new version of it. And I only knew to ask that. I didn't even know that like Sega was a thing for a long time until I got what was the big gigantic black Sega? Was it handheld? Sega Game Gear. I got a Game Gear and I had Sonic on it. But I never got it.
You were like the only one in the world.
Yeah, I had that. It was like this big, and I played on it, and I had that before I had a Game Boy, and I only got a Game Boy because I wanted Pokemon.
Yeah,
because I started watching the show, and people actually know it was the cards. Everyone had the cards around summer camp.
When you talk about advertising, that's not direct ads, but create this ecosystem.
I only play Nintendo or Pokemon video games because the cards were so popular. It's the only reason.
Don't know. I'm sure I would have played it because it was a game that got good reviews. Yeah. But nothing hyped me for Pokemon like the anime. Like it would not have been the same if it wasn't for the anime.
And that's why I'm such a sucker for Yellow. That's why, and I like Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, because that recreation of basically the show was like, this is all I want to do. It's like I want to live the life of what's happening in the show. I want to play the storylines. And so when Yellow came out, I'm like, this is my favorite game.
Yeah,
and it's like it still is like my favorite game. I'm not saying it's the best, but it recreated the experience of cards were really fun. I learned characters because of the cards.
Yeah.
Then I watched and everyone's like, "Well, there's a show," and I'm like, "The fuck show? What do you mean there's a fucking show? Where do I watch it on?"
When did that start?
what channel was it? It was before it was CW, UP,
WB61.
Which one?
Oh
WB61.
WB, thank you.
Yep.
And WB was 5
61.
for me. And so it's like it's on WB with it's like, but it's it used to be in Japan and now they brought it to America, and I'm like, what's Japan? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
and that's how word of mouth got you to Japan.
Exactly, that's how I learned what Japan was, and now I'm a Dodgers fan. They have lots of Japanese players. Thanks.
Yeah.
And those are like ads, like WB, the cartoon block, like you knew
with the frog.
yeah, you knew to hang out because after Yu-Gi-Oh, there's gonna be like another cartoon, and maybe it'd be cool, maybe it'd be terrible, but like you stick around for like 4 or 5 hour blocks Saturday morning because that was a thing.
I think I've told Maisie this, but this is why Pokemon is why I watch the challenge. There is a direct lineage. There was a show called On That Block, I believe, or it was on ABC, but it was related to that Saturday morning type of block of cartoons of like, I got my schedule. There was a show called Endurance that was basically the kid version of the challenge / Survivor, which John A. on the challenge was on as a kid.
Whoa.
I told Maisie that. She's like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I would watch The Real World as a teenager. Then I was like, wait a minute, there's a show of the people on The Real World that is like the show I used to watch as a little kid that I watched because it was close to when Pokemon was on, and that's why I watched the fucking challenge.
Even like Guts too, and
Guts
it's not the same, but like Guts,
Legends of the Hidden Temple, Wild and Crazy Kids, Double Dare, kind of all kind of similar lineage. And I wonder how much of all this is just kind of like FOMO based, which is a term we didn't know back when we were kids.
Yeah.
And it's, still a thing that there's different things marketing to kids than the conversations we've had. We can still think of, we mentioned Crossfire last week. I still have the fucking Skip It song in my head. I haven't thought about Skip It in years, but that song is going to be in here till I die. I'll probably think about it instead of like my family when I'm on death's doorstep. So like FOMO, especially for video games, but pop culture and toys too, like that's, I think, why the word of mouth is so important, because it's not just that you're getting it from like a friend that, oh, this is cool. It's also, that's cool and I fucking want it.
Yeah.
I don't have that and I need that because I don't have a Sega, I have an SNES, or vice versa. I don't have an Xbox, I'm missing out on Halo. It's very different than other stuff that we've talked about, like other products. Like you don't have FOMO over food, not to that level. You might be like, oh man, that burger looks really good, but you're not like, oh my God, I have to have that burger right now. Like people don't really think of it the same way.
That's why if I ever did like a new system, I would sell it for relatively pretty cheap at first. Who did that recently? Maybe it's all console. There's some story of like,
wasn't Google trying to do that with Stadia? I thought Google was selling Stadia really.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Microsoft. Every system sold was at a loss still, but they didn't care because that was market saturation. That was word of mouth, and that they would make it up in other ways, like software sales and all that. But
that's why I feel like what worked with me with Apple and realizing that an Apple computer was better than a fucking PC is we had Apple, those giant box-shaped ones with the colors, like the neon colors in the 2000s. They put those in all the schools. All the schools jumped on, that's what we're going to teach you on. So I learned to do a bunch of shit on a Mac, and I'm like, but this is better than a PC. Why doesn't everyone have that? It's like, I would prefer to have an Apple product. I don't have the money for it. I also haven't needed to buy my own computer for the last decade plus because my jobs keep giving me computers.
This is going to show our age gap a little bit. At least the three of us and you, Cody. You guys got those Scholastic. Oh, what was it called? Like the catalog
the book
with
club.
books.
Yeah, book fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did that.
Oh, you did that too?
Yeah, my kids still do that. No,
okay.
My kids still have that. It's
They're
online
still around.
now,
That's why I read Captain Underpants.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Well, so that was like
talk
a
to the
great
kids about
marketing
that.
strategy. Also, like getting kids to read, and that's good. But like all the horror series that it probably dictated a huge piece of my personality actually because I liked horror books. And then that got me into like the wider like horror genre. But like Goosebumps, Fear Street, Spine Tinglers, like so many, and Animorphs. Because it looked cool, and Chris brought up FOMO. It's like, yeah, like my friends are going to read that, and I want to be cool.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read it first, and then I'll know everything, and they won't know.
Like, you know how hard it was to check out a Goosebumps book at the library at my school?
Yeah.
So if you didn't get it through the Scholastic Book Fair, then you had to sit there and hope that you were going to like play Russian roulette on when you might get to check one out. And by the time you did, there'd be another one out, and all the kids would be talking about that one, and you'd be behind, so you were lame. And it's like, oh, man, like, this can't happen to me.
I do love that, but because of our age gap, like Harry Potter caught on when I was in like first grade or second grade, whatever grade it was. And so like that dominated a lot of my book reading as a kid because I was young enough to get caught in that wave perfectly.
See, Chris, we should have been friends because I bought the books and then I could have given you the books. You would have read them faster than I, and so then it would have been really good. I gave all my books to Peter. Like all of them. I had the entire Goosebumps catalog, and the first day we met, I was like, you got to read these, and I gave him all my books.
And then he sold them for a profit?
No, I think he gave them all back, but I don't know if he read any of them either, but
was I the
tried.
worst? Would I be the worst? Because what I would do is my mom would go to the mall because she had something she had to go get, and whatever she did, I'd literally go to the bookstore and read an entire Animorphs book or Goosebumps book while she was shopping. Then she'd come pick me up and I'm like, all right, cool, don't have to buy it now. Here you go, back on the shelf.
No, I don't. I think that's fine. I mean, I think K.A. Applegate probably would have been a little upset, but
Scholastic Publishing probably didn't like that.
Yeah, right. But like for me, that made sense. I did that at Hastings a lot. I would also go to kind of circle back, and my mom would be grocery shopping. I would read the whatever latest gaming magazine was, and I would just stand there.
I would do
in
that.
the aisle.
I would do that in Target, specifically Target. I would go as soon as my mom got into Target. I'm like, "Can we go to the video game section really quick?" And she's like, "We're not buying you a game today." I'm like, "No. I just want to go get the game cheats book for whatever game and read through it and memorize it really quick while we're walking around, and we'll put it back. I'm not going to buy it."
Well, two things. One, I would do that. Like that would be my whole reason to go to that department, was to like play whatever game they had. That was my chance to try stuff.
Yeah.
Because, you had like the Blockbuster option or other game rental stuff, but it wasn't the same. And even that cost money, even that was not a thing we had a ton of when I was a kid. So that was always a little bit iffy. And I forgot the second one, so fuck it. Go ahead.
No, well, so in the magazines, I'll vamp for you if you remember, jump in. It was funny. This tells you a lot of me as a kid because there would be like the Maxim magazines. And I would be like, oh, that's tempting. But I have Electronic Gaming Monthly right here, and I only have a limited amount of time, so I'm going to stick with gaming. And that was the best magazine.
That was the other one I remembered. My view time of gaming magazines was almost exclusively at Bash's when I worked there.
Yeah.
It was, okay, they have a magazine section. There's a couple of them, EGM or Game Informer or whatever. And this is what I'm going to do to hide in the bathroom for 30 minutes.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, I could have been hiding in the bathroom with Maxim or Playboy and doing something else, but instead I was just like, oh my God, like that's where I learned about Kingdom Hearts. I was like, what the fuck? What is this?
This is the game guide of Yellow that I definitely hijacked.
I own that.
Still own this one?
I own it for sure. Yeah,
the Prima's official strategy guide on Pokemon, and it has Pikachu on the cover for it breaks down all of Yellow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Target constantly. And I don't know if I ever bought this, or my mom finally might have bought it for me after I kept going and hijacking it over and over again to be like, where am I going to get that TM at? Where do I find that at? I really need that one. It's really pissing me off that I didn't find it anywhere.
I was the kid. I would read player's guides like a book. Like, not just like, oh, well, I'm in this section. Let's flip and see what to do. Would you cover to cover, the Ocarina of Time, cover to cover.
I tried to get away with that in school once, and maybe it was this guide. I don't remember which one it was. During your like, okay, we're going to read for 15 minutes period, and I had a game guide of a game, and I tried to read it, and my teacher was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm reading.
That's reading.
And they're like, you can't read this. It's not like reading.
Bullshit.
You can't do that. That's great.
Oh, God. How to Win at Nintendo.
Oh, nice.
I still have this book. It's from 1988. I don't know why I have it. It has a completely text-based approach. Like it tells you how to cheat and win a double dribble, the basketball game on the NES. This is another relic of the past. Like this is even worse than like the Prima guides because this is an actual book.
It's a book.
It's a book that you could get at the library. I think this has like some sticker from Kentucky that like it's ridiculous, and I still have it just because it's nostalgic for me, because it would tell you like the secrets that you could never find except by like word of mouth, maybe. Like we make fun of like the Konami code and stuff, but like how did you find out about that? Or if you got stuck in an NES game, like you didn't know how to progress in Metroid.
Yeah.
There's no game facts, there's no Prima guides, there's no nothing. So it's just kind of like another one of those signs of a bygone era. But again, this speaks to the FOMO part where it's like, well, I want to know all the secrets so I can tell my friends that I know how to beat that video game.
Yeah. No, it's even in the Zelda player's guide, they do illustrations. That was the big thing for me because you would see stuff that wasn't in the game. And I remember there was a scene where Morpha, the water boss, like grabbed Link and like jerked him, not off, just away. And he like dropped his sword and it was like, oh, that's so cinematic. And that was like why I wanted to like write a Zelda movie. It was like that player's guide.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that stuff, I mean, I guess kind of circles back to marketing, but like what an impact like the whole environment, the player's guides and the gaming magazines, the anime series, the toys, like that all.
But once you catch someone in one facet of it,
yeah,
are they going to dive into all the rest of it? Like I didn't have a lot of like Pokemon toys necessarily, because it's like I didn't really care if I could throw a Pokeball and have a plastic toy pop out of it. I didn't care about that as much.
But did you make Beanie Babies Pokemon?
call them Pokemon. Like if I had.
Yeah. So I would. I remember specifically an owl, a little white owl, and it was like a Pokemon. I forgot what it was. I made it a type. It was its own type.
Oh, so you just created it in your mind, like you were fighting with it as you created your own Pokemon.
Absolutely.
You weren't saying this owl is the owl Pokemon.
No, fucking knocked
out. You just decided to create
thing.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
No, see, I took my Beanie Babies and Crystal laughed at this. I made them wrestle. I would just use them as wrestling action figures because I didn't have wrestling action figures.
Oh, yeah.
Because I loved wrestling so much. Which then I finally got wrestling action figures bought and a ring to do my little wrestling moves with the figures in for a couple years before I realized that I didn't want to do that anymore. I just wanted to try to pile drive my own friends and jump off a couch and do a frog splash, which led to some other problems later on in life. Hurting people.
Concussions. Yeah, got it.
Don't try this at home, though. That was very important. Don't
yes,
try this at home.
Tombstone pile driving my friend onto a pillow, even with a pillow.
Yeah,
not quite the best idea at 11 years old.
The worst day of my life, we were wrestling in a living room, and I dropped there. It was a blanket fort, but I had a Game Boy under the blanket, and I didn't know it, and I cracked. Half the screen was black. Still trying to play it for probably a couple months.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
But I guess just to go full circle, like I would love to be able to ask my grandma why she bought an NES. I have no idea why someone in their late 60s at the time, mid 60s, bought an NES, other than it was a big phenomenon at the time. But why her specifically, I don't know. I mean, my dad was the one who got the SNES based on the NES, and then from there, I was a Nintendo kid. So that built brand loyalty sort of by doing. I don't really have that with stuff I didn't experience as a kid, though. There are other brands that I've picked up on since then. And it's interesting because, like, as Cody alluded to with the Anchor stuff for phone chargers, I mean, especially on Amazon, there are so many random fucking, like, Korean or other countries worth of brands on there that's not just like, oh, a Black & Decker. I know that's going to be a good appliance. It's like, oh, there's a company I've never heard of, surrounded by 11 other companies I've never heard of. I guess I'll just go off the reviews. So I don't really know what works. I think the ads that pop up with, like, with having taken data from my cookies and are like, hey, you had this in your cart, you want to buy it, don't really work too much, because if I wanted to buy it, I already did. I guess it really is just word of mouth and things that I've tried that I like, and if I like it, I stick with it.
And I'm wondering who's not that is what I guess. When we got a vacuum cleaner, the Shark, I Googled what's the best vacuum cleaner ever. And
for the really higher end purchases, you have to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I did with our indoor air conditioner. I obsessively looked through all of this. If you're going to make a $300 purchase, I'm not going to just jump at the first one Amazon has on Prime Day for $200 off. We made that mistake once, and it was Black & Decker, and it was the biggest piece of shit we've ever bought. One of the worst products I've ever bought in my life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know that brand, except for that brand is not actually that brand anymore because that brand has been licensed out because it was sold because of et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't really realize, Black & Decker's not what Black & Decker is anymore. It's actually a code name for a random company who sucks. I
didn't even know that. That's funny.
Yeah, Black & Decker's not actually Black & Decker. If at least for their air conditioning units, that's not the real company. Black & Decker's name got thrown on it.
The weird thing that happened today, though, with word of mouth, because I agree, I don't know anybody. Everyone will say word of mouth is like the most important thing, but for some reason, influencers on TikTok or Instagram have become trusted word of mouth, which blows my mind because I don't understand how you could ever trust somebody you haven't met and haven't interacted with and who doesn't have your best interest at heart.
It's a fucking commercial.
Well,
less professionally done.
But okay. So if you follow a guy or whoever, a person that you go to all the time, and you learn what they like and how it so it's like less about trust maybe and more about like, well, I know this person loves it when action movies do this. So if they like it, I will probably like it, and not, like you said, the necessarily blind trust of like, well, Asmongold, when he's not throwing a Nazi salute, he said, check out fucking Fortnite. So I'm going to like, it's less of that. And a lot of it's not blind trust. I mean, whatever their personalities, but like a lot of them, you're building a I'm not defending TikTok. I fucking hate the thing, but it's like you build this relationship with somebody and you learn their likes and dislikes, and it's like a barometer for yourself, and it works for them.
It's interesting. It's interesting to me how easy that is for some people. I have a hard time shutting off my brain and being like, this is all scripted. This is all fake. This is all curated to sell too often it seems like one of those things that it's just like, I can't trust that you are a real person out there and your likes that you're showing me are real, because who knows who's funding you behind, who's pushing you to do this XYZ. It may start out that way, but down the road, who knows? I don't know. It's hard for me to trust.
There's something to be said for the people on, like the influencers on TikTok, on Instagram, on Pinterest that have really devoted themselves to like a specific field. Yes, if they are willing to be honest in their assessments, or at least somewhat honest, then you can still use that as a barometer. Because there are the folks that are obviously just plugging anything that comes across their desk. Oh, this is the best product ever. This is the best product ever. And a month later, you're like, well, I had 11 best products ever, and they're all direct competitors. So like, but if they're at least willing to be somewhat honest, again, somewhat, because they're being provided products, you understand there's a certain handshake agreement. But if they're like, well, this one wasn't the best, but this one was really reliable, I can see why people have latched onto that, just because it's at least somebody who's getting to try a bunch of things that it's a position that like you and I won't be in. I don't get to try. Well, I guess I can walk into a mattress firm and try 20 mattresses, but you know what I mean? Like in general, I'm not going to order 20 different types of a product and get to sample them all before I settle on one. I'm just going to have to kind of pick one, and if it sucks, return it and maybe try another, but I don't get to do the full spread.
Yeah, and if there's like there's a funny person on some social media that I don't have anymore, but let's just pretend. And you know, I really like them for video game reviews, but then they test like a makeup remover. I'm going to be like, well, I should buy that for Maisie immediately. I'm just going to be like, well, that's like kind of not in the wheelhouse. And I don't care about that. I don't know why you're pitching it. But I like your video game reviews, so stick to what you're good at. You know, that means more. So you still have to be discerning. But I think there are still some things you can glean from it. And if they lead you astray, then you know, like, okay, well, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's a one strike and you're out mentality. But man, I've just heard the culture surrounding those people they have very, very strict followings, and some people follow their every word, which is odd to me. But that's.
I mean, I don't trust human beings enough to believe almost people I love dearly's every single word, let alone a random stranger on social media.
But those are the type of people, Dave, where like you know, it goes a lot beyond the influencer. They're gonna anything Taylor Swift does, they're gonna buy. Like. There's like an obsessive fandom, and there's no helping that.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that fall for it no matter
I'm too
what.
much of a hipster that want to go the opposite way if everyone thinks this is cool. I'm like, no, that's fucking lame. You're lame for liking it because everybody is super mainstream.
I'm a huge fan of Devin Booker. I haven't bought his shoes. I don't know if I guess I'm not that big of a fan because I haven't bought his shoes.
You know what? Booker had that I don't remember it now. Some kind of water, some kind of vitamin or coconut water.
Yeah.
And I tried Cocoa One, right? Cocoa One.
It came up on the show once years ago because you had like a bottle of it at the start of an episode.
And I tried it, and because I like him, I was like, it's worth whatever he's selling it for to at least try it. I didn't love it, but it was fine, and that was that.
It's a one-time purchase, and it's like, but like that's like if you have the price, like I don't know, if you were drinking Gatorade, like that was the product you always went with because it was what you liked, but Gatorade's price had gone up. And then competitors came in and were like, we offer a similar version of Gatorade. It's slightly cheaper. You want to try this? It's like, well, yeah, I'll go try a bottle of that and see if the flavor is good.
Right.
And if the flavor is good, it's like, well, then why wouldn't I take the cheaper product that provides 95% of the same thing? So I feel like Body Armor came in trying to do to Gatorade, except for Body Armor is now more money than Gatorade. And it's really not actually any healthier for you in the fucking slightest at all. Nor is vitamin water, nor is Propel, nor is which I guess is Gatorade.
Yeah.
No, it's almost like the same shit, nor is Powerade. Like, they're all just still sugary and not really that good. You could just drink water, or shit, if you really want to be hydrated, drink Pedialyte, honestly.
Yeah, right.
Like, there was the funniest thing in the world. We were watching the World Series, and one of the Dodgers players has a clear bottle of Pedialyte he's drinking in the dugout. I'm like, I've never seen anyone drink that. And I'm like, you know what? To stay hydrated, that makes a lot of fucking sense that you're just drinking the actual thing.
My family has a subset of folks that do that anytime they feel like they're getting sick.
And I started doing that too, and I actually I genuinely think it hydrates me better than Gatorade, or, I mean, water is water and still is probably the best thing. But if you're sick and like starting, like your stomach is hurting and you need to replenish some stuff, I'm like, Pedialyte is genuinely a better option than Gatorade.
I've actually heard milk is a really great thing to drink for refueling. Except that, like, if you're it's a hot day, it's like that Anchorman
milk was
thing.
a bad choice.
Yeah. But like, if you can get over that and you can keep it cold, it's like really good for you
as long as you're not also lactose intolerant.
Well, sure. Yeah, probably not if you're
lactose
lactose intolerant. Don't drink milk.
And then chocolate milk even gives you some protein.
Yeah.
On top of everything else.
But yes, like I learned that. I'm like, And I like Gatorade. Gatorade tastes really good, but I need to drink less of it, and I do now. And
I love Gatorade, but it's so fucking bad for you.
Like I love lemon lime Gatorade. It's probably one of my favorite flavors in the world. But I'm like, so I ease back on that. We have bottles and bottles of it that I have been drinking less and less of. It's been sitting there for months. I'm like, wow, I've really kicked this habit because it's sitting there tempting me and I don't drink it. And when I'm feeling dehydrated, I'm like, I should go to Walmart and for $5 buy a giant thing of Pedialyte or take the sprinkle packets and sprinkle into the water I have available in my home. That's probably going to make me feel just as good. And the flavor won't be as good, but I'm also drinking it for a purpose, not as a luxury.
The three of us used to play basketball for like 4 hours. And sometimes outside, and then we would go to QT,
Quick Trip,
and I would get the large, huge size of lemon lime Gatorade from the fountain.
Yes, and again, they
put
have
crushed ice in it,
and they still have lemon lime, and it's so good from the fountain at QT.
It was fucking crack.
It still is,
and it's just giant thing. I would drink a whole bunch, and then I would even refill it before we.
Did you drink Gatorade from glass bottles ever? Or did you drink it from aluminum cans ever?
Glass? No. Plastic?
Glass. No, there was glass bottles of it. You can get it in glass bottles.
Never.
Wow.
I bet you that was good, though.
Is that akin to like Mexican Coke?
Yeah, basically. Yes. Yeah. Gatorade used to come in glass bottle things of it. But again, specifically and they've brought it back now, actually. You can get Gatorade in the aluminum cans again. And
whoa.
I have not bought it because I'm scared to buy it because I know for a fact it tasted better out of the aluminum can than it does in the plastic bottle to this day.
Stuff tastes different. Plastic cups, glass cups.
Soda is better out of aluminum.
Well,
Gatorade's better out of aluminum.
Out of the fountain, the Gatorade was way better.
And that's what I'm saying. At QT, they still pour lemon lime Gatorade off of it, and it is to me, the better version of it than it is out of the plastic bottle that you normally get, right?
Isn't that like a thing with McDonald's Sprite too? Isn't that something people swear is
McDonald's
better?
sodas are just super carbonated no matter what. Their Coke is better, their Sprite is better, it's better over. Their Dr. Pepper is better.
That makes a big difference.
See, I've heard of that, but I don't drink soda.
It's 100% true.
Yeah, okay.
Like I've gotten a Coke at QT or I've gotten one at like Circle K and versus getting it at McDonald's, it genuinely tastes better because I think their CO2 system, whatever, it just I don't know. Again, people compare like Sprite at McDonald's to like making like spicy and like making you choke because it's such a bite to it, and it's really that good.
Well, I think an interesting exercise that may still fill another episode sometime in the future could be like, what brands are you loyal to? What brands were you? And then something happened. We mentioned a couple in this show.
Ooh.
I can make a list of that.
Oh, but I already have one that I almost said today.
Because I think, again, the ones that you've stayed ride or die with are interesting, or new ones that have come along the last few years, but they seem like they're that. And again, maybe ones that you were like, oh, I love this thing for 15 years. But as Cody mentioned, like there was that one time they fucked me, so they're dead to me forever.
Yeah,
pretty much.
That could probably easily fill a show. We might need to because there's still one more non-game show episode before episode 700. And even episode 700 itself is a little bit in question. If the hard drive recovery is on the 5-week side of things, some of the stuff I prepared may not be available for that episode.
Can you do a bit where it's episode 699.1 and then episode 699.2 and then just jump to 700 when you need to?
Well, the problem is we have the reason I've been so much of a stickler for this hitting when it does is the 5 episodes after that are all the December ones where we're going to rank the TV theme songs. And then the first 2 episodes of the next year are already spoken for because that's the best of the year before. So if we don't do something right before Thanksgiving, it'll be mid-January before we have a regular episode.
699.17 is going to hit real good before episode.
I don't want to do Kingdom Hearts numbering. Okay? I just want to go in whole numbers.
I also think it'd be funny to jump to 701. And then when we're ready, go back to 700. Yeah.
Especially because I've plugged it for months. Just be like, we'll see you in 2 months.
Yeah.
It's fine, Chris. We'll just call it 699 Dream Drop Distance, and it'll be fine.
That's Yes.
Well, we'll see. That could even be next week's episode, potentially. The week after that. Well, no, Dave's gone next week, right? That you're missing the 11th? That was the problem. Yes. And then we'll be doing a Hades 2 review episode the 18th. That's episode 699. That we'll be recording in advance because I will not be in town. So we'll see. It's possible we can't even revisit this till the new year because of all the stuff stacked up that I mentioned. But either way, I think that's something for a future one that would easily fill an hour because there's a few brands that I really, really like that I would be like, I'm going to bat for them. And there's a few things I'd be like, they burned me so many times that I will never speak of them again.
Yeah, I'm ready to go with that one.
We'll
I'm excited. I'm not going to spoil. No spoilers. I
won't say some of the brands I hate now.
Yes. Save it for the show, as we always say. And we'll have to wait for Dave to be there for that one because I think he's just as good at that one as the rest of us are, and I'd like him to be there. So
I don't know. He's been quiet this episode.
Wow.
I think we ditch him.
Kind of rude.
I don't have good opinions. It's fine.
Can we just bring your children on and be like, guys, what do you want your dad to buy you?
No.
There we go. Bingo.
Wait,
you
Dave,
can take care of my Christmas shopping for me.
Dave, what were you gonna say? I want to hear it. You finally talked. I want to actually hear when you talk.
Oh, I'm the brand that you ditch. I'm the brand that you hate. This
yeah, I've lost my brand loyalty to Dave.
Yes. You had a Robinson brand loyalty, and it is gone. One fuck up, and it's gone.
Yeah, because he was quiet on the episode.
That's all it takes.
Quiet.
We're only getting together 1 day a week, Dave. You can't even bring your A game for 1 day a week.
While he's working, this is just fantastic.
Who fucking talked 4 times? And only a part of that is because I'm louder than you. That's not all of it. It's some
part.
of it.
It is part.
It's a large
and part of it is Dave tries to defer when he's on Skype or now Discord. Like he could be a little more aggressive. Like sometimes we can hear both you talking and somebody else. It's not too much crosstalk, but the old habits that we instilled in us the first 200 episodes still die hard.
Sean's brand loyalty to being loud is very committed.
Yeah, I'm pretty diehard to being loud. And we also have Cody and I who already talk the most, and we're in the same room now.
Yeah, now we are right next to
So
each
we
other.
just go back and forth.
We're really just like you guys are just here and we're just having a conversation.
I get that.
And as time has gone on, I've picked my battles. I just jump in at certain points, and then I talk for like 2 minutes straight, which is not my preferred method, but it's easier than trying to like jar the door open.
This is what you get for bringing me on here. It's your fault.
Well, I don't have the intro anymore, so we could just take you out at any moment.
Yeah. You're right. You could just disappear me right back.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's see. Is this you? Yeah, that's you. See you later.
Like who was that? Who interrupted for like 100 episodes? We don't remember who.
Well, it doesn't matter. There's other people that have done that in the show's history, and they don't matter either.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, that was rude, but that's the way we're closing out this episode. Thank you for joining us. Sorry for the live folks who would have watched that way. Hopefully you come back and catch us after the fact, and of course the audio version is unbothered by any of this, but in between episodes you can find us at our website, grayareas.live or youtube.com/@grayareaslive when my computer's not being a son of a bitch and we can stream there live too. See you next week.